Growing. What's the meaning of growing? Becoming an adult, becoming responsible, getting married, having kids. Surely these things are all part of growing, but there is something more. Understanding ourselves, for instance, and becoming the best version we can possibly be, it's also growing. But what really happens when we grow up? At the beginning, we are basically free to do whatever we like. We eat when we're hungry, we sleep when we're tired, we play, we're curious, creative. Why on earth we stop being creative? Rules, society, impositions, responsibilities. These factors are undeniably important if we want to be responsible adults in a civilized modern society. But are we really sure that this really means growing up? Can we actually benefit from this way of thinking? A few weeks ago, I watched a movie called Poor Things. The concept of the movie is quite unlike Frankenstein the monster, and it gave me an interesting point of view about growing. Bella Baxter, the main character, was found by a scientist in the river after she tried to end her life. He brings her back to life by replacing her brain with her unborn child's one. That's why in the first scenes she is basically a baby, with no knowledge of the world, barely able to speak. This is the period of our life in which we constantly absorb every possible notion from every possible thing. We are curious, we want to know, we need to know. Everything is new, interesting, full of possibilities. We are thrilled to touch a new object, to learn a new word, experience a new feeling. This is something that, in my opinion, most of us lose over time. There is a certain point in which we stop being excited about life, excited about discovering, about growing. That means that by stopping being a child, we basically lose our capacity of creating. This is literally the main topic of the movie. Bella shows us that there is a way to remain truthful. There are in fact certain situations when, rather than listening to what we really want and need, we focus instead on what we are supposed to act like and what the others think. Instead of following our real thoughts, we behave like we are supposed to. We are so scared of what other people may think about us if we go against certain rules of society. There is a scene in the movie in which Bella is really annoyed by a baby crying in the restaurant, so she leaves her table to punch him. The scene is actually funny, but also makes you think about how many things we don't do just because we're not supposed to. Now, I'm not saying that punching a toddler is a good thing, but the whole point here is that we are repressed and refrained from all the society rules imposing us to live and act in a certain way. This is exactly the kind of things that keeps us apart from our inner child. She doesn't apply to these rules. She chooses instead to do what she needs and what she wants, just like a kid would do. Eventually, during our life, we'll make different experiences, both good and bad. About half the movie, Bella starts to gain knowledge and more experience about life. This includes pain and death when she sees poor people abandoned to die in Alexandria. Meanwhile, she's in Paris, working in a brothel. She said to her mistress that she lost empathy, and her reply is so deep that it's stuck in my mind. The mistress tells Bella that she needs to embrace the dark side of life and must keep going and be forged by her darkness first in order to find light. If you think about it, we can't reach our all true self if we experience good things only. Bad is part of the game, and by accepting it, we become complete. This is referred not only about negative events, but also about our own shadow, our inner darkness. Refusing its existence is a form of repression, and this movie reminds us that by acknowledging and accepting it, we take responsibility of our being in this world. Back in London, Bella is about to marry her betrothed Max when the wedding is interrupted by a man that reveals he is her husband. They were in fact married before she killed herself. He invites her back home with him, back to her old life. a life that she doesn't even remember. Although the progress and freedom she gained so far, she's still curious to see what her life was like and accept his offer. She later realized that her husband just wants to control her, and when he gives her a drink with a sedative, she's almost tempted to take it. She said that in some way it would be a relief to get rid of her questing self. Things will be easier indeed if she doesn't have the burden of her person, if someone else has to take responsibility. But then she understands that she needs to be brave to being herself, to refuse to give her person to someone else. She then returns home and says that she's never happy, and then when she's there, that basically means her childhood and her being surrounded by people that really understand and support her. She also says that it was just a story of someone else, meaning the life that someone else decided for her. We can't let the other define our existence and decide on our behalf. In order to understand this, she had to end herself first. Metaphorically speaking, she basically went through her darkness in order to find her light. She finally accepts life for what it is, a mixture of good and bad. Nevertheless, she is in control of her person, and she is willing to do anything to keep her freedom. She refuses to do things based on the society's perception of ideal life, and she follows her needs only. In conclusion, certainly what the scientist did to Bella is unethical. However, the point of the movie is the reborn. She gave up cause she wasn't happy, but she was given a second chance. The chance to live again as a new being. She's basically a monster created by her own death and reborn. Knowing why she ended her previous life, she decided to act different this time, or better not to act at all, to be true, to fully live her life, to decide for herself, ignoring what others decided for her. As I said before, this is a story that resembles Frankenstein, the monster. But are we really sure that she's the real monster?